In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to look at 10 defensive midfielders who Liverpool could sign this window and give you the information that you need to know as to how they'd contribute to this new look Liverpool side. Okay, so Liverpool are revitalising their midfield, but they now need to sign that defensive midfielder or that system, it may collapse. But the big question here is who? These are 4 names being linked with Liverpool right now, and as I say, we're going to tell you whether they fit or not. Here's the first one, Kalvin Phillips. Now, despite the somewhat negative perceptions of Kalvin Phillips, it does feel like he's still of the quality to become someone's starting defensive midfielder. I actually still believe that he's got quite a future at Man City. If you check out the video that we've done talking about Pep controlling the Premier League, we don't actually talk about it in that video. We talk about so much else, so make sure you check it out. We talk about this season being about those number 8s. But I do wonder if Kalvin Phillips could actually play a big part in this new setup for Man City that we are projecting. We might be massively wrong, but go check out that video and see how you feel about that one. But if he was to move, I really like him as a player, and you don't become a bad player overnight, and he's got the quality to be that 6 for Liverpool. Last season he did struggle. He struggled with injuries, but that, in my opinion, was partly down to that sporadic playing time, something that can provoke those frequent niggly injuries. Now, if we look at his stats from his 2 Premier League seasons at Leeds, it shows that the quality in terms of metrics is there when it comes to KP. Averaging over 5 progressive passes per 90 is something I think that would be particularly of interest for Liverpool, due to the fact that McAllister and Szoboszlai want to play generally sort of 5 yards further forward ahead of that defensive midfield. So to put it into context, Fabinho averaged 5.42 progressive passes last season. So that level of output in that metric could be matched by Kalvin Phillips. Couple that with the extra legs that Phillips has over Fabinho, and it could be a decent combination. It's a fair one to have worries about and not be sure about because of the injuries and the fact of that leading to a lack of reliability. This is a midfield that needs to play together on a regular basis in order to learn this new way of playing. So for that reason, despite the quality that he provides and the depth he provides in other positions as well, I'd be slightly nervy about this one, if I'm honest. Sofyan Amrabat. Now, Amrabat may be the smartest option on this list for one incredibly large reason. So, to begin, I think Amrabat is one of the best at what he does, and the role is generally that of being a destroyer in the middle of the park. Last season, he averaged 2 tackles and interceptions per 90 in Serie A. That stat probably feels a bit low to you guys, but Fiorentina played such a possession-based system last season that it meant that there wasn't as much traffic coming in the other direction, if that makes sense. But for Morocco in the World Cup, he averaged 3.2 tackles and interceptions per 90, which shows the high quality that he has defensively. But overall, I think the most important aspect of Amrabat's play that could benefit Liverpool is his discipline. As a defensive midfielder, he has a clear-cut understanding that he does his best work patrolling the central areas of the pitch, and he is always in position. With Liverpool's new formation being very, very fluent, the one position where you want that structure and discipline will be at the base of midfield, and Amrabat offers just that. So here's a player that I previously wanted for Liverpool, now I'm just not so sure. Ryan Gravenberch. So signing Gravenberch to play as a DM, I just think could be a big mistake for Liverpool. As an 8, I completely get it because it's what he offers as a box-to-box midfielder of a very high level, but he's never played as that sole 6, and I don't think that's what he is personally. That's why previously I liked him as a Liverpool player. I thought there was untapped potential there and he wasn't getting the game time, a bit like Kalvin Phillips, I guess, at Man City. But in the 8 role, not in the 6. And despite him wanting that move away from Bayern, I don't think going to Liverpool would be the smartest move because McAllister would keep him out of the team. And he'd have the same issue as he is currently having at Bayern. Last season, he only made 3 starts in the Bundesliga. And he has made it clear that he wants a move to play minutes. And I don't think he'll get that at Liverpool, especially with Curtis Jones coming into form. Florentino Luis. Luis could be one of the smartest options here on this list, but The question is, could Liverpool even get him? Luis is one of the most impressive 23-year-olds in Europe right now. Defensively, his stats were excellent last season with 4.4 tackles and interceptions per 90 in Liga Portuguesa. He also played alongside Enzo Fernandez for the first half of the season, and the double pivot that they formed looked like one of the best in Europe at that point. When it comes to fitting in with the style of play at Liverpool next season, I think the only question will be whether he can be the sole pivot instead of that double pivot. The first half of the season, he obviously played next to Enzo Fernandez, and in the latter stages of the season, he played alongside Joao Neves, who himself is a wonder kid, and he also put up a lot of output in terms of winning the ball back. But this could bode well in terms of building a relationship maybe with Trent in that untraditional double pivot. I think if you are going to go out and out in that double pivot, then he's an option in terms of being a player that can play alongside someone else. But would he be that little bit too reliant on that partner? That's the big question for me. The man that everyone's been talking about, Lavia. Romeo Lavia may be the defensive midfielder most Liverpool fans want, but is he the best option? So as we all know, Lavia was one of the shining lights in a bleak season for Southampton last season. And only a year after leaving Man City, it looks like he's going to be heading straight back to the top this summer. But will it be at Liverpool, and does it make sense? The issue that some people are going to bring up when it comes to Lavia is that his stats don't necessarily constitute possibly spending 50 million on a player. But I don't think that's an outrageous asking price for him for two big reasons here. I think firstly, the eye test is often something that gets overlooked, and it's something that I can't prove to you. You have to watch him play, and I'm sure you probably have, and you've probably been pretty impressed. I certainly have. And I think in this case, it's very pertinent because Lavia definitely passes that test personally in how elegant he is on the ball and his awareness both defensively and in possession. The second reason is Southampton weren't great last season, and that has to be factored into his stats. They struggled for possession frequently, and that took away massively from Lavia's stats. Right, we've had our butchers at the rumours, the links, the runners and the riders. Now let's put forward our options. Before we do that, if you are enjoying this video, do me a favour, hit that like button. And if you want to see more content from this channel, of course, you got to hit that subscribe button. Why not do it? I don't know, there's lots of reasons probably. I'm probably a bit annoying. Some people call me smart. It's not important. Right, let's dive into some other options that you won't have heard on the grapevine or from Fabrizio Romano. Ibrahim Sangare. Sangare, that's how I like to say it. He is currently being chased by Nottingham Forest, but Liverpool must intervene for me. Here's why. Ibrahim Sangare is one of the most overlooked defensive midfielders in European football right now, and for the fee being rumoured, he'd be an absolute steal for Liverpool. Now, I know I've got the money, but that doesn't mean you have to use it. And this guy's class. His underlying numbers are superb when it comes to progressive passes, as well as progressive carries. His stats show why he could be an ideal candidate for the single pivot because you can trust him in possession. But defensively, he's also extremely capable with 2.66 tackles per 90. That level of defensive output is a positive insight to him being able to play as a single six. Also, his physical presence will be invaluable, not only with his height, 6'3" by the way, but also his aerial ability. Check out those aerial duels. Whoa. Next up, Palhinha. There's been a bit of chat about him. Now, this may not be the flashiest of signings, but there's a simple reason as to why. It's brilliant. I remember when Liverpool were first starting to put together a good squad of players under Jurgen Klopp, and one of the important ways that they built a title-challenging squad was that they sourced gems from clubs lower down the Premier League, and they created that hungry culture around them. It didn't have to be fostered, it was there. They wanted to go and achieve. And the signings of Van Dijk, Sadio Mane and Gini Wijnaldum are big examples of how this can be done. And I think in Palhinha, I think it would be a similar move that could elevate the whole team. I think his simple way of playing, aka win that ball and give it to someone who's better than them, it's basically my philosophy on football. I think it would be such a good asset for Liverpool in midfield as they look to achieve that balance. Another option, Ezekiel Palacios. Palacios is a player on the way up. Remember the name. I know it's defensive midfield, but still, because the bottom line for Liverpool should be that they go and get those players who are on the way up. And since Xabi Alonso took over at Leverkusen, he's been showcasing his skills both as a defensive midfielder and he's also fulfilling the potential many suggested that he had. With 3.7 tackles and interceptions last season, he's got a natural defensive nous about him. He sniffs it out. And at only 24, he's a malleable player that can become whatever a system needs him to be. This is one of the reasons that Xabi Alonso likes him so much. He's also very versatile, having played either as the lone six or as a secondary pivot next to Robert Andrich. And as we spoke about when we talked about Luis, that's a really promising thing for building a relationship with Trent Alexander-Arnold. Let's dip into the Allcott archive, shall we? Because Youssouf Fofana, well, you know, intelligent viewers of the JLA channel will know that this guy is a player that we've been on the train for a few stops now. And I really like the profile that this guy has in midfield. He featured in every game bar one at the World Cup for France, yet is still relatively underappreciated. I think the output that this guy puts out defensively, again, aligns perfectly with what Liverpool are losing in Fabinho. And the positional discipline that he has, it lines up perfectly. This guy put up 3.9 tackles and interceptions per 90 in Ligue 1 last season, and he's insanely good at what he does. Now, before we get to the last one, who from this list so far is the best option for Liverpool? Or is there a defensive midfielder you think that would be better for Liverpool? Also, are there any rogue shouts that could happen this summer for you when it comes to Liverpool? Right, here's a rogue one for you then. Manuel Locatelli. Locatelli has actually just signed permanently this window for Juventus. But, hear me out, prior to that, he had been on loan at Juventus for 2 seasons from Sassuolo. And despite this, Juventus still have these strange financial problems and have actually agreed to not take part in this season's Europa Conference League because of their money and legal issues, which is outrageous. So Locatelli isn't unattainable by any stretch. He's 25 now and he's just a gorgeous player to watch and would add culture as well as composure to the base of the midfield. I know generally Liverpool fans feel a bit funny about Italian players. They just haven't had the best success at Liverpool, but come on! Don't you want a bit of that? So there we have it. 10 defensive midfielders Liverpool could realistically sign in the summer transfer window, and that position is going to be crucial. So, Jurgen, make sure you get it right. Big question is, which one of these was a 10 out of 10? Let me know.